feeling short.
Here we go.
Let's choose one.
Here we go. Welcome to the P2 Power Play Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Wilson, alongside Tiago Cucci.
Vamos que vamos, Caíto.
Vamos. And today we have our first pro player, special guest, Tesho from Orlando City.
Whoa.
How are you, my friend?
I'm happy,
Welcome.
man. I'm really glad to be here. First pro player feels like an honor for me.
That's it.
So
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you guys for inviting me. Thanks for having me on.
And
it's
for us as well.
Yeah, and he's a almost 10-year pro in MLS, right? Almost 10 years?
Yeah, it's my 9th season right
Yeah.
now, just getting kicked off. So on my way to 10. And I would have never thought it, man, but here we are. Here we are. Yeah.
It's crazy because the other thing, too, that not a lot of people know, you still play for the Canadian national team, right?
Yeah. I'm like right on the bubble.
Nice.
Every time there's a camp, I get that email that, you're on the wider squad list,
Yeah.
but lately I haven't been making the final squad. The
Yeah.
competition's tough, but I'm right there in the mix. And
Yeah.
I mean, Canada's going to the World Cup for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm right on the bubble of that. If my performances are good this year, I think I can make the squad. We'll see.
And that's that's awesome.
It's
bro. Like,
amazing.
having that privilege and honor to represent your country. But let's start. So, first thing, kind of tell your story, about yourself, everything you've been up to. What do you do? Obviously being a pro, what you do outside of that, and just kind of your life.
Man, how far back should I start?
Maybe before MLS?
Okay, yeah. So I went to a small college, a Division II school called School of Mines, and I was going to be an engineer. So like I'm a super nerd. That's who I am. I was going to be an electrical engineer.
Yeah. You graduated, right?
I didn't graduate.
No.
And so I left after my 4th season there. So it was 3.5 years of school. My parents were both so mad at me because I was leaving. I was like almost about to be an electrical engineer and I was leaving. They were really upset, but I was like, man, I have a chance to be a pro.
Right.
Luckily, I got drafted to FC Dallas. I did well over there, 5 years at FC Dallas. Then I got traded over here to Orlando, and this is my 4th season here. And yeah, so I've been a player 9 years, and now I'm married. I'm a dad. I have 2 kids, and I'm also a businessman on the side. I do some real estate
We're gonna
investing.
talk about
and
business.
Stuff. Yeah, I love finance, love business in general. So yeah, just a little bit of everything.
Right. And then let's talk about college. So you played Division II. What was the school's name again?
School of Mines.
School of Mines. So I did some research. You scored 76 goals in 83 games. Is that right?
That sounds about right.
So I mean,
Nice average, huh?
That's a lot of goals. So let's talk about the jump, because I don't think people quite understand from college to MLS or just pro in general. How is the level difference?
Yeah, it's really interesting. The level's obviously a lot better. And one thing that I think messes up a lot of people is you're used to being the best player your entire life if you get drafted. I grew up, I was the best player on my team, or at least one of the best always. I went to high school, I'm the best. College, I'm the best. Then I go to the pros, and I'm the worst player on the team. Anytime you get, everybody who gets drafted, you're immediately,
Oh, shit.
the worst player on the team. And it's just a huge wake-up call, And I think almost more than anything, the mentality of having to deal with that, of just man, I'm no longer the man
Top
here.
dog, yeah.
I'm not the top dog anymore. Even if you're not the worst, a lot of times you're mid-table. It's really rare that a college kid gets drafted and is the man on their team. So you're at least mid-table, and it's mentally tough to deal with that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that really set me apart in my career, is I was able to deal with that. Even when you were set aside, you're not making the squad, you have to do extra practices. I was grinding. And I think that's an important lesson for anybody to learn, is sometimes you're going to be down, and it's not embarrassing. It's all right.
Part of life.
It's part of life, yeah. And you learn, and your character comes out in those moments. So, yeah, I think that was the biggest transition was honestly the mentality of it. It's just how do you deal with not being the top dog anymore?
Yeah.
And there we go.
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
But so on that note, how did you deal with it?
Yeah.
Just hard work, man. That's just my motto. Just kind of control what you can control. I think is super important, because, if the coach says, okay, you're not in the squad this week, you can go and cry, but the coach doesn't care, and they'll just they don't care. They'll get rid of you. And
His
next
job's
year,
to win.
Yeah, his job's to win. And next year, there's more college kids coming. So if you want to pout about it, they're going to get another college kid next year. So my thing was just, okay, I'm not in the squad this week. I'm going to work as hard as I can at training. Oh, there's extra training. I'm going to be there finishing. I'm going to I'm going to go in and watch video with the coach. What can I do better?
Right.
So it was just hard work through the whole thing. And even now, I think I still have those habits. Even I've been playing for 9 years, and, I just work hard. I think that's kind of a character trait that I have, and I try to bring that mentality to the team in general.
Right.
Yeah, I think Michael that came here on the last episode, he was a pro player as well. He was mentioned to be there on the top level is not that hard, but to continue And you are like almost 10 years consistent. It's very hard. So it's really good that you are talking with us about that, because there's a lot of players watching us for sure. And this is great for them to hear. Like, don't give up. You got to do your best. And it's amazing. It's a good conversation.
And just to remember, like, just getting drafted is an amazing accomplishment. But that doesn't mean like it's over. Like, that's kind of the beginning. So like, look at any draft class. Like, look at I got drafted in 2014. Look how many players that were drafted in 2014 were still playing in 2015. That's 1 year later. Almost 3/4 are gone in 1 year.
Right.
Of the people who got drafted. You know, so you think you made it, 1 year later, 75% of those people are gone.
Bye.
2 years, 3 years. So that's when the real work starts. And I think it just is a mentality thing, because there's people who are super talented, and sometimes they just don't have it right mentally, and you can't get through. And the mentality is just as much as your skill.
So let me just this is important. Can you explain them what is the draft?
Yeah, because some people probably don't know. Yeah, but every year the best college players in kind of the country, they go into a draft. So you're just in a big pool of players, and MLS teams get to just one by one go and pick players from the pool. They pick the best players first. And they go down the table. They can pretty much pick as many players as they want. So it's a pretty American thing. They do that in like the NFL and the NBA, but in Brazil, never. Everyone who comes from other countries, they're like, yo, what is going on? Like,
but on the draft, do they hire you on this draft? Do they invite you already for that? So how does it work?
They don't do it in person anymore. But yeah, so it's just like a video call. So and even my year they did do it in person, but I had no idea if I was going to get drafted or not. No, I didn't know. So I was just at home with my family and my friends. I was in my house at college, and we were just watching it on TV. It was going by, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call, and they were like, "Oh, FC Dallas is about to draft you." And then I see it on the TV.
So you found like 5 minutes before?
Not 5 minutes, like 5 seconds before. Literally, like right
That's
before
funny.
I get a call. FC Dallas about to draft you. They pick me. I see it on the TV. Everybody's celebrating in my house. Right after.
That's funny.
I get the phone call from the technical director. And then they were like, "All right, you got drafted by FC Dallas. You got to be here in 2 days."
2 days?
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure. It was like, whoa, because I didn't know the day before. Even 2 minutes before, I didn't know if I was going to get drafted at all. And then I find out I am drafted. Cool. And I got to be in Dallas. I was in Colorado at the time. I got to be in Dallas in 2 days or 3 days. Pack everything
to get paid.
Yeah, but actually, too, another thing that's a little bit confusing to people is just because you got drafted does not mean you have a contract. So I got drafted, which means that I'm going to go to Dallas's. At the time, I went to Dallas's like preseason, but a lot of people who get drafted, they don't get a contract because the team still has a few weeks to say like, okay, are you really going to make the team or not? And every year, a lot of So a lot of people think. Even that's what I'm saying. Like, people get drafted, man. Right. A lot of them don't even get contracts. So you might be just in preseason for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and the team says like, "Sorry, it's not working out."
Man, they can do that to you. So you can be there for 2-3 weeks, and they can say, "Sorry."
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
It happens every year.
That's crazy.
Is it like I know you're in the investment side with the real estate? Is it like a due diligence?
Yeah, it is kind of like due diligence, because I mean, it's hard to. Obviously, the scouts and everything for MLS teams, they can't watch every single college game and know every single player and see how they will fit in against MLS competition. So it is kind of due diligence to see or it's almost like an interview. Like, you get drafted and now you're like at the final stages of the interview, basically. And it's like, how are you going to perform in the real world setting? And
there's no guarantee about it.
With no guarantee,
That's
so
crazy.
Didn't know that is a new thing, huh?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So your first year, how many games did you actually play?
My first year,
your rookie year,
I think I played probably like 17 games, but literally it was like the last 17 of the season. I didn't play any of the first like 17 or so games of the season. Because like I said, I wasn't in the team ever. Like, I was just on the bottom of the roster. And what ended up happening is one of our best players, this guy's name was Mauro Diaz. He's an amazing player. He got a bad injury, which was bad for him. But then it made our team change formations to 2 forwards instead of 1. So then I got brought into the squad, and I subbed in. Then I started starting games, and I ended up having a good end to my season. But it just came out of nowhere. I was out here grinding for 17 weeks, and it wasn't like week 16 versus week 17. I worked harder, or I was all of a sudden a lot better. Just sometimes situations just present themselves. Luck, yeah. And luck happens like to people who work for it, like.
Of course. Yeah.
Because I saw other guys too, and it happens all the time that your number does get called. Like, somebody gets injured, and it's like, okay, you're up this week, and they're not ready because they haven't been practicing hard, So that's another thing to keep in mind for, it could be someone going into college or going into the pros. Like when your number's called, you have to be ready because you might only get one opportunity to really impress in
Click
the game.
that. That's
There
a
we
good
go.
one right there.
Click that. Every time that we do this, we clip on the.
I like it. I'm gonna try to get a bunch of them.
But so, and one of the things I want to touch on is like expectations. So from college to FC Dallas or to Orlando City, what was the difference of expectation? You know, you can't be late to practice, or, you know, can you kind of highlight some of those things? Because like people watching this are going to say, I think I can do it, but do they really understand what you have to go through every single day being a pro? And I don't think people do.
Yeah, I think it's one thing is just the level of intensity you have to bring every day, because maybe if you're in college or whatever, you can go to practice and you just had your math class, so you're just relaxing, having fun at practice. But like here, literally people's families depend on them playing well, you know? So if you show up to practice and let's say we're playing small sided, me and you are on the same team, and I'm just chilling, I'm hurting your family, literally. So people like take it pretty personally. Like you have to come and you have to be serious about what you're doing every day, because it does affect other people's family, their livelihood and stuff like that. So just making sure that you're really tuned in and, you know, turned on to every single practice, every game is another level.
Yeah. I mean, that I think that right there is.
It's crazy. Yeah, because I was talking with few pro players as well. Like, I mean, not just pro players, some players here that I said for like parents ask, what do you think is missing? I think sometimes it's this, like the mentality of they need to do it because, for example, in Brazil, they need to eat. If they don't play, they don't eat.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think
here,
that's something American, it is tough with Americans because even, I mean, in America, we're very lucky, you know, like a lot of us come from good lives and like, we're privileged, and the worst case scenario is not that you're going to starve. It's just that you're going to work like a normal job at a business or something. Like that's the worst case scenario. So sometimes you might miss the hunger of somebody, say from somewhere in Brazil or somewhere else in the world. That the worst case scenario is like their whole family.
Right, it's life or death.
Yeah. So you need to find that within yourself, like to create the same level of intensity, and wherever you can draw that from, you know, you need to bring that.
Yeah, and I think this draft is really good. Gonçalves came here, the World Cup player that he played with Ronaldo in 1998. And also the short guy, I forgot his name, my friend, Maicon. Maicon as well. He was discovered in the street. He was playing in the street. So I think the draft helped because you have a pathway to follow. But if you can explain, like there is a lot of people that doesn't know that, like if you pick to become a college player, can you still become a pro player or not?
Yeah, you definitely can. Honestly, right now, I think it's happening a little bit less than before, just because in the U.S. the academy system is like way more built out.
Yeah.
So like because I was born in '92, so when I was about to go to college, the academy just started. The DA just started, so it was like maybe 1 or 2 years, and some of the best players were there, but some of the best players didn't play in it yet. But now, like every single player who's good and competitive, you have to play on an academy team. And within that, you're going to be so you might play here for the Orlando City Academy. If you're really good, the coaches are going to watch your games, and a lot of these guys get signed homegrown. So a lot of people that would have in the past gone to college and been really good college players and then become pros, they end up signing homegrown beforehand. So you still can, like, and every year people do go to college and they do get drafted and become professionals after. But a lot of times people now are getting signed as homegrowns just because they're in like a kind of a professional environment early on from the time they're at 14, 15.
Right.
So FC Dallas, when they invite you, after 2 weeks, they told you like, now you approve, or how does it work, like after the draft?
Yeah, that's how it was for me. Like after 2 weeks, and they were saying, okay, yeah, we can offer you a contract. But even my year, I'm pretty sure like a person got drafted, and after 2 weeks they told him, oh, it's not going to work out, you know. Or there was one guy that maybe, I think it took him like 3 or 4 weeks, that they were still like, okay, let's see how it's going to be, you know. And it gets nerve-wracking, honestly. Like I've seen it firsthand, I've experienced it, I've seen other people go through it. It gets nerve-wracking, but yeah.
Somebody signed before you, and you were like, "Oh man, he signed before me."
Not on my team that year, but I mean, in other teams, like you see other people around the league. Oh, this guy that got drafted got signed already, and you're like, "Oh man,
it's a pressure." Huh?
Yeah.
My friend got signed.
And how did you feel when you actually signed the contract? Did you feel relieved because you're like, I got my 1 year? Or how long did you get?
I think what you most of the time, at least back then, I think it's still the same. You sign 1 year guaranteed and then 3 options. And that's what I signed. And a lot of times with MLS, if you're a rookie that gets drafted, there's just kind of a standard contract. I think that there's something similar in like the NFL. Like you have to sign a certain kind of contract depending on where you're picked. over here, pretty much all rookies sign the same
place a
kind of
bet
contract
for a year.
Yeah, so you get
Smart.
1 year and then like three options.
Yeah. And then how did you feel like when you were going through it? Because you mentioned you didn't play for like 17 weeks. Like in your mind, were you going, man, this isn't for me? Or, I got to like, what, kind of walk through your mentality. How did you feel and what were you doing to get into the team?
No, I definitely didn't feel like it was not for me. I was loving it because I guess I like focus on playing soccer every day. So I was really enjoying it, even though it wasn't working out as well as I would have hoped. But my mentality was just, I think the most important thing is to focus on what you can control, So I can, and a lot of times people might think, oh, the coach doesn't like me or something. The coach, they don't care. Like they want to win the game.
They want to win.
They don't. Even I've seen coaches not like someone and start them every game because they know that they're the best player. Yeah, they want to win. So all you can do is like make sure you're the best version of yourself, and I think that's so important. Even like so, let's say I'm playing striker right now, and I'm playing the best in my life, but then they bring in Mbappe. It doesn't make me a worse player. Like I'm still the best version of Tesho, but I'm going to be on the bench, All you can do is like make sure that you're the best version of yourself, and maybe it doesn't work out at the team you're at, and then another team will say, whoa, this guy's playing really good right now. We'll get him. So if it doesn't work out in the short term, like it will in the long term, as long as you're just focus on being the best version of yourself. Like that's all you can control. I got another one.
That was really good.
A lot, I think. Yeah. But and then this leads to my next question because we have kids that, or even parents in general, like youth. They say, "Oh, my kid should be playing. He should be playing the whole game. He should be playing this position." At the pro level, in my opinion, it would come down to performance, right? So, what does that mean to you in terms of performance? Like you said, you play striker. Okay, what is performance for a striker? What does that look like?
I mean, obviously, scoring goals is important, but I think if you're not scoring, like I keep going back to hard work, but that is the thing you can control every single game. So that's what I try to do baseline. Like I try to say, okay, I'm going to work as hard as I can this game. And I think that matters a lot too. Go in the game, work as hard as you can, and then you have to score goals, obviously, as a striker. You have to hold, like if you're playing striker, your hold-up play has to be pretty well so that you're not just losing the ball all the time. But I think like there are some days where for whatever reason your touch is off, or for whatever reason you can't find the finish today. Yeah. But your coach will be like, you know what, but he worked hard the whole game. Right. I'm going to give him another chance. But if you're the guy who's not working hard and your touch is off or you're not scoring, the coach is going to be like, all right, get him out of here. Like, he doesn't get another chance. So I think just working hard always gives you the benefit of the doubt. And then, on top, that's like the base layer. And on top of that, you have to be clean with the ball. And then you have to score goals if you're a forward, or if you're a defender, you have to track your man, or, whatever it is. But working hard, kind of no matter what position you are, is the base thing. And you can control that. Like, it doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's hot, like you can work hard every single day. And you just need to make sure to bring that. Right.
And then next question I have is, how many players, like in your position, now that you're a pro or been a pro, do you compete with for the striker, the number 9? How many people are you competing with? And do you think that makes you a better player? How does that work for you, like competition?
I mean, at any given time, there's probably like 3 players or 4 players for one spot in every team. Let's say 3 on average. So you're usually competing with 3 people. But what I like to think about is, in the long scheme of things, you're not really competing. Like, it does seem sometimes like day to day, like, oh, I'm competing exactly with this other person. Let me say Benji, because Benji's my good friend. Yeah. Maybe me and Benji are both playing winger, and I could say, man, I'm competing head to head with Benji. It's me or him, And so, like, oh, man, if Benji doesn't do good, it's like, well, is that better for me? No, like, what you need to focus on is being the best version of yourself, because the people who I thought I was competing with in Dallas are not on my team anymore. They're scattered all over the world. So in the short term, it does seem like you're competing with another person, but in the long term, you're competing with yourself. Because if you're just barely better than the other guy, but you guys are both terrible, it doesn't matter. Next year, they're going to bring in a good person. So you got to focus less on competing with your teammates or something like that, and more on just like competing with yourself, being the best version of yourself. And that's what matters. But I think like there is healthy competition too. Like you see some people in the finishing drills like doing a little bit better than you, and you're like, all right, I need to step up. Yeah, it's hard. And, sometimes we'll put you put a little bit of a bet on it. You put like, okay, the loser has to run this or do laps or pay lunch or whatever. So I think that kind of helps too. But in the long scheme of things, like the only person you're really competing with is yourself, because soccer changes a lot. Like you might be on the same team as people for 1 year, 2 years, and then you change teams, or they change teams, or the new coach comes or whatever. So all you can do is worry about being the best version
How long
of yourself.
ago you started with Orlando City?
This is my 4th season.
4th season. So did you of course you play with Kaká. How was that?
No, I came right after he
Right
left.
after?
Yeah.
And with Nani. How was with Nani?
Yeah, it was. He was probably the first like worldwide superstar that I played with, and I think that people underestimate like how weird it is to be Nani. Like every city we go to the hotel and there's like people outside of the hotel wanting his autograph, wanting his shirt, or we go to the game, there's people wanting his jersey. And it's a lot of pressure, But obviously, like it's a good position to be in, and he also deserves it because he's a good player. He's had an amazing career, but there's like some weird things that come with it too, like just so much attention on you. The media always wants to talk to you, like they always want you to do interviews. You got to do appearances, so it was just interesting to see. Because he was another level of famous from anyone I had ever played with before, and it was interesting to see like what came along with that, like
the good and the bad. Hotel, as
there's good things and there's bad things too.
What are the bad things?
I think just like being always in the public eye is not the nicest. Like the level, I'm like a level of famous that's perfect. That sometimes people recognize me, but like most of the time they don't, so like,
stay quiet.
I can stay quiet. But if you think of guys like, let's say Messi, like Messi cannot ever be quiet, or even like Nani, everywhere he goes, people know him and see him. And I think, man, that's kind of a little bit of a bad thing of being too famous.
It can be good as well using the real estate thing. If he buy a home, he can flip it with a higher price.
Yeah, I say homes by Nani, and everybody will just buy it.
That can be a good strategy.
Yeah, that's true.
I work in Chicago, and there's the home of the Home Alone movie.
Mm-hmm.
They are selling more expensive because it was the Home Alone movie.
Yeah.
So imagine with
famous
the
connection.
I think
you got to leverage your name, I guess, if you got it.
Correct.
Now, I do want to ask because somebody asked me this question, and it was one of our kids, and they said, when you talk to Tesho or any pro player, how did youth prepare you or not for college and then for professional? Like, because you said you were the best player, so how do you feel like it prepared you for the next step or didn't, or can you just talk about it?
I think for me, I had a unique situation because my dad was my coach from the time I was like 11 until I went to college, so 11 to 18.
Oh, so wow, nice.
Yeah, and he was really tough on me. And I think that prepared me a lot because even though I was the best, like sometimes you might be the best player on your team, then the coach is just like, okay, like whatever you want to do is fine because you're our guy, But my dad would like, if I wasn't playing as well as he knew I could play, he would crush me, And like, and I think that like instilled in me just to always work hard, like whether you're the man or you're not the man. And also to be able to deal with criticism because he would give me like honest criticism all the time. Like, and he'd be like, I don't think you're doing this good enough.
Yeah.
And so I think I was able to deal with that too. Like when I became a pro and they're like, you're not playing because you're not good at this. And I didn't cry about it. I was like, okay, you're right. Like I'm not doing that well enough and I'm going to get better at that.
Right.
And so I think
sometimes the coach is going to be afraid of saying like,
because some people,
honest things.
Yeah, some people it could hurt them, and then their confidence goes too far down. But I think, really props to my dad because he really helped me in a healthy way. Like I told him my goal was I wanted to be a pro soccer player. He knew that, and he really helped push me to a level that I probably wouldn't have been able to push myself.
Yeah.
And just like kept correcting me, making sure that I was like mentally, physically like ready to go. So
he was a player as well.
He's Nigerian, so everybody Nigerian likes soccer. But
like
he didn't play professionally or anything like that. He definitely played growing up, and he still plays adult league all the time. But
nice.
And he coached my team.
I think it's important with what Tesho said though, because he said, your dad was always on you. And I think coaches, when they see they have a good player, they take, especially like youth, they take the foot off the gas because, he's the superstar of the team. He doesn't need to be pushed. So I think for your perspective, I think that really helps, propel you and help you get to the next step.
Yeah.
That adds.
And I think from the player side, like you need to embrace people who do that to you. Because even that happened to me in college too. My college coach was the same way. Like he would yell at me if he felt like I wasn't doing well enough. And sometimes I'd be like, man, I already scored 2 goals. What are you yelling at me about? And he was, because, he knows your standards. So it's hard sometimes to surround yourself with people like that. Like maybe it's easier to have a coach who's just going to pat you on the back no matter what you do, but those people are not going to help you become a pro. Like the person who's going to help you become a pro is the one who's pushing you. Boom.
That's the record, huh?
But it's good though, because again, we see kids all the time that go, to your point, I scored 2 goals today. Yeah, but you're not defending anymore. Mm-hmm. You need to get back on defense. You need to do your job.
And how was your parents on that? Like, because we see a lot of parents talking a lot about, my son didn't play a lot, so can you put in the second half? Since your dad was working with you, he was on a sideline doing that or no? You had your control.
Well, I mean, he was the one in charge of if I played or not. So there was no one to complain to. Like if he wasn't playing me, that's because he thought that I wasn't doing well. So it doesn't really apply to me too much. But yeah, I think like a lot of kids seem to think, maybe not a lot, but sometimes kids seem to think that, oh, the coach doesn't like me personally. Yeah. And I don't think that happens too often. Like maybe every once in a while, but I think usually like coaches want to win and they're making choices because they think they want, like that's what's best to win. And even at the pro level, like if a coach benches you, it's almost never ever personal, like because they want to keep their job and they want to win. So like the coach is benching you for a reason a lot of times, you know? Yeah. And then if you're a kid who the coach is only putting you in the second half, well, make sure you play good the second half, you know, like play as good as you can in the second half, or they play you 5 minutes at the end of the game. Make it an amazing 5 minutes.
Ball out.
Show that you deserve.
Yeah. There's this guy, Alan Gordon, that used to play in the league, and he would come on. He was like the stoppage time king. They would sub him in like the 92nd minute, and he scores a goal in the 93rd minute. You know, like every time. But like that type of mentality that I don't care if I start the game or if I sub in the 93rd minute, like I'm going to impact the game in any way I can. You know, I think that that's what kids should be thinking instead of, oh, the coach doesn't like me and they're not giving me enough time. Right? Yeah, like make those 2 minutes count, you know. Yeah. And maybe you need a new team. Like maybe this team isn't the right fit for you and you do need a new team. But a lot of times, like, while you're on that team, make the most of it, you know?
Yeah, before you can move somewhere else, at least do what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Make sure you're the best version of yourself. Because what if you spend a whole year pouting because the coach doesn't like you and you try to go to a new team, but now you're not the same player you used to be, you know?
How you transfer, like, from FC Dallas to Orlando City?
I was out of contract at FC Dallas, and they offered me a new contract, but I said I wanted to be traded, and they actually were like open to it too. They said, okay, we'll help you find a good spot, and Orlando was interested in me, so I ended up coming over here, and it was
why
really
Orlando?
Perfect.
Salary, weather? Or?
I mean, the coach at the time, James, he was interested in me, and I think he had been even talking to my agent during my last year in Dallas, like. Or I don't know if he was talking to him, but I think that they were like interested in me beforehand, and he also wanted to play me in striker, which I really wanted to play striker. I've played winger, midfielder, striker. At the time, I was like, I really want to play striker, and he said, I want to play you striker. I want to bring you here. So just his faith in me was huge, and I had the best year of my career actually. The first year, stats wise, at least, the first year I was here in Orlando.
2015.
2019 was my first year here. Yeah.
And then did you have any other clubs that were interested in you in that time? Was it just Orlando or was it like Kansas City? And
I think some other ones were, but I'm not, honestly, I don't even remember the details. But I know like Orlando was just like by far and away the most. And even because the players don't have too much control unless you're like a superstar of where you go. But luckily, I mean, FC Dallas, they had called me beforehand and they said, Orlando wants you. Is that a place that you'd want to go to? So, you know, they were nice. Really good about it. And I think like, I try to be a good person, and I think that it helps out, you know, because if I was like not a nice person, FC Dallas wouldn't care what happens to me after. But I think, you know, I built up some good karma, and the relationship was still good, even though I wanted to be traded, and it worked out.
Why did you want to trade?
I just felt like I was a little bit stuck in my career, you know. Sometimes you just need like a reboot, and I think, you know, I got that, and the FC Dallas is an amazing club. Like there's really good people there. There's so many good players there, but sometimes you just need a new situation, new fit. And that's what happened for me. And it was good, I think, for everybody. Like, because even me leaving, then a ton of new young guys were also filling my spot immediately over there. And I was doing good here. So it was a win-win, I think, for me when I left.
It makes a difference. But I'm curious from your perspective as a player, you know, negotiation wise, can you kind of walk through how that works? You know, like you're negotiating for your new contract at Orlando or maybe a renewal from FC Dallas. How does that whole process work? Your mind as you're going through it, and maybe some details.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we have agents, so they get to be the bad guy. Like,
so it's not your dad, yeah?
No, not my dad, not my dad. But, so the club usually deals with your agent, and then the agent will tell you, okay, the club is offering you this. Like, what do you think about that? And, you know, the agent can kind of say, I think that you should get this much salary based on like what are other people getting paid in the league compared to you. And you have to be honest with yourself at that time. You know, like, am I going to say like, oh, I should be getting paid as much as Carlos Vela? Like, maybe not because he scored 30 goals in a year, you know? So like, you have to be honest with like, where do I really stack up in the league? I should be getting paid as much as these guys. And then kind of your agent goes back and forth at that point. And maybe sometimes too, people might prioritize like a guaranteed contract versus getting paid a lot. So you can maybe try to get a 2 or 3 year guaranteed contract, let's say for $100,000, so that's 3 years guaranteed at 100, or you could try to do like more money but only 1 year guaranteed and 2 options. So like sometimes people prioritize like safety and guaranteed years versus money. So those are kind of 2 things to think about.
So the option, is that like just an extension?
Yeah, the option is just like, so like let's say your contract 1 year is 100,000. The next year maybe you have an option at 125,000, and at the end of the year you go into a meeting with the team and they can decide if they want to pick up your option or not. Sometimes you have triggers in your contract that say like if you score 10 goals, your option is automatically picked up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
If you're worth more than 120, for example, in the second year, do they pay
if you think
more?
you're worth more? Yeah, it depends. I mean, they don't have to though because you signed the contract, but a lot of times people they will renegotiate if they think you're doing better. And that even happened to me here. My first year I came here on a contract and I played pretty well. That happened to me 2 times in my career, actually. It happened my rookie year. I had a contract. I played well, and the team said, okay, we'll renegotiate a new contract at a higher price. So my first year in Dallas and my first year here, that happened. I signed a new contract. So even though they didn't have to do that, a lot of times they do that when they think, it's fair.
That's good faith.
Yeah. Is this information public? Because in Brazil, we never know who, what players, how much the players are making.
Yeah,
here I saw some
look it up
websites.
online.
Yeah.
You could just type in MLS salaries. I think it's on the union's page, like our players union, Players Association.
That's good.
And you can see everybody's salary. Yeah. So
let's find out his salary to see if he paid the lunch.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah, in Brazil it's crazy. Like salaries over there, but of course the currency is different. It's 5 by 1, and here Diogo, that was in an episode. What is episode that he was? Ciosito. Episode 8, he was talking about MLS to put a ceiling price. Yeah, there is a limit to spend with salary. So this controls everything as well. In Brazil is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think they like to do that in a lot of American sports because I think it keeps the teams kind of equal.
Smart.
Like let's say in England, Man City might have one player who's worth more than Watford's whole team. Yeah. But over here, all the teams have pretty similar level players because people are getting paid the same, so that's what usually creates like parity is what they call it.
Using the business aspect as well, like terminologies, you are like a stock that you can be sell with a higher price or not. You are, everything that you do is like a stock. Yeah, you can be sold, and it's amazing, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is a business. Like, it's a sport, and we love it, but it is a business, too. So, I mean, players, it's just something to keep in mind. Like, it is a business, for sure.
And I want to talk about business after your question.
Hold on, wait. So, question, what's the worst thing a coach at MLS or anything like has ever said to you after a game? Like a story, maybe like, hey, F you guys, something like that.
I know, like... And like Oscar's my coach now. He was my coach when I was in FC Dallas. There was one game when he was like, "Stand up right now and fight me."
Oh my goodness!
I was like, "Oh my gosh!" No, he said that to me. Yeah.
Why?
And I was like, he was just mad at the team. I don't know if he's mad at me personally, but so. But I didn't. Yeah, he scared me.
Oh my!
That's funny. I didn't expect that. That's good. The reason why I asked it because I had a college coach, and after a game we lost. It was NCAA quarterfinals. And we all thought that was going to be our year, and we lost. He put us all together in the front. He's very calm at first, and then he just goes, F you, F, as loud as he can. He's screaming at the top of his lungs, F you, F you, F, all of us. He's like, I'm going to cut every single effing one of you. It was crazy. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask the question.
Yeah. No, Oscar had me shaking in my boots, for sure. I was scared, yeah.
And is the relationship okay now? Or?
No, yeah. I think I.
So you like the way that?
I mean, I've been with him I've been with him for 8 seasons of my 9. So I think that there's definitely a mutual respect there. But even like him saying that, like that's out of the passion, because so like, and he's an amazing coach, honestly, really, really good coach, and he's intense though too. Like if it's the same as I said, my dad, the same as my college coach, like. They hold you to their standards, and they're like, "You're here because you're good enough, and like you need to perform to the level that you're capable of."
Right, an inspection.
Yeah. So if you're not doing that,
I got one more question real quick, and then you can.
We go to business. Yes.
So I've heard MLS preseason is grueling. How tough is it?
Is very tough. I think it might be getting easier though.
Yeah.
I think it's getting. Maybe they have more sports science data. They were crushing us back in the day. Like, we used to do like 3 a days. We would do play and practice in the morning, weights in the afternoon, practice again at night, and so those practices are hard. You're running laps, you're playing really hard, and it's 6 weeks long usually, and it's really intense. Even now, like it's still pretty intense. You do a lot of 2-a-days, a lot of running the beep test like multiple times usually. So it's tough, but yeah, that's part of it.
Are you more used to?
Yeah, maybe I'm more used to it.
And then how do you prepare for that as a player? Because you know you're going to come into this and you need to be sharp, because obviously if you're not sharp in preseason, you're not going to be playing. So how do you prepare for that beforehand?
By training with you, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
Easy.
that you like it, huh?
I didn't expect that, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like me and a couple of the other players, we came in here and you were running some really good sessions. So a lot of times in the off season, players might go all over the world because people are from all over the world, and you might be just alone in your bubble, but it's hard to train at a certain level when you're by yourself. So it's nice. Like we were here, there was a decent amount of us, like 5 or 10 of us here in Orlando, and we all got together and you helped give us some really good sessions that kept us, like my first session I did with you, I was dying. I had to call, I think I had to bow out early a little bit because I was so tired. So and it's like I had been training by myself, but that first session, like as a group and like getting ball work with another coach, like pushing you, takes it to a different level. So I think that's really important. Like wherever you go in the off season, it's important to find some group practices and even have a coach if you can, because they'll push you to a level that usually you can't push yourself.
Right. Because like you said, with individual stuff, there's only so much you can do and there's so much you can push yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Having a coach.
Kaito, preseason coach. Did he push you hard or what?
Yeah, I had to tap out of the first practice. I was too tired.
Did he hold the thing as well? What you were mentioning with Oscar? What he did?
When you yelling at me?
Fight?
Yeah.
He didn't want to fight me.
No, he didn't want to
I
fight
think
me.
Tesho would win that fight.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like having a gym at home by yourself. So it's very hard. Like having a coach definitely is good. Kaito. Let's do that, Siuzito. So let's talk about business as well.
Let's do it.
So Tesho, I mean, I love business. Everybody knows that. And one of the things that I saw that you do is a real estate. You know, nowadays, I don't know what is the percentage, but even the inflation over 7%, I believe is way more than that. So how are you on this market? Like, what do you have? You have like homes, residentials, like apartments, or is commercial? Like,
yeah, just what I have right now is all single family homes. I have one duplex, but it's pretty much single family homes. Most of them are in Kansas City, actually.
Oh.
And then I have one in Colorado. I just got that one. And so all the ones in Kansas City are long-term rentals, like 1 year. People sign like 1 year leases. And the one I just got in Colorado is going to be an Airbnb. So that'll be my first one that I'll do as an Airbnb.
testing that.
Yeah, I could test that. I think it'll be a good strategy. So I'm excited for it.
Why not a townhome?
HOA fees and stuff like that, it eats into your cash flow a lot of times. And I think townhomes appreciate less than single family houses a lot of times. So I think single family homes, like you have more control over your own asset than you do with townhomes or condos or something like that.
HOA.
So do you manage them yourself or do you hire a management company?
I have a property manager over there in Kansas City, and so they help you get the tenants. If anything breaks, they fix it right away. They collect the rent. They do all that stuff, and they might have to ask you here and there for, what do you want to do in this situation? But most of the time, they handle everything. And then with the Airbnb too, I'm going to have a property manager who will do all that, but also market the place on Airbnb. And then if somebody is coming to the house and they say, where's the toaster? Like they'll be able to message them like, where's the toaster? Because I still I have to focus on my job, number one.
Correct.
So having a property manager is super helpful.
So it's like passive income. You can just sit back, they do the job, here's the money and done,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's kind of passive. Like you still got to do some stuff, and especially up front, like finding the deals and maybe have to rehab them, or like right now with the Airbnb, you have to buy all the furniture for it. And my wife is actually doing that, and she loves it. So she got to buy all the furniture for the house. So like there's a lot of work up front, but then afterwards it is more passive.
What is your margin on that? Like renting a single family, because there's a long term and short term. Like short term, correct me if I'm wrong. You do, for example, this is another question. Like Orlando is very high demand for short term because you can rent for people that is coming to visit Disney. Yeah. So why you pick long-term investment, and what is your margin looks like?
Yeah, long-term, I mean, that was just I think long-term is maybe the most passive. I don't know. It's just like I knew people who were doing it. My dad actually is the one who he met someone who was doing it in Kansas City, and he told me, you need to look into this. And so I did. And then short-term, so I mean, there's just different strategies, different things, but I think you can pretty easily get, like, let's say cash on cash return. you can get like 10% pretty easily. So like, let's say you put in, $10,000 a year, you might be able to get like $1,000 back in the year or whatever in cash flow. So yeah,
the bank gives us like 3.5 maximum a year.
Yeah, so I think you can pretty easily, and that's just the cash return, but also like people are paying down your loans, the house is appreciating, and you get tax benefits too. So that kind of adds it. But in just the cash flow, I think you could pretty easily get 10%. And short-term rentals, you might even be able to get more than that.
Short-term.
So I'll see how it goes, but I think you can get more than that.
Orlando can be a good strategy as well. Like over
there's a lot of competition here
people,
too. Yeah. There's a lot of competition.
But 80 million people, I think it was 600 people a month moving, a month or a day, I don't know. So you can find out on the Google how many people is moving to Orlando, to Florida per month. Is crazy. Like from Chicago, Texas as well is receiving a lot of people from New York, and they come with cash. This is getting the house market going up. Like 2 weeks ago, I tried to be on the list because now you don't have home to buy it right away. Like you got to be on the list. They call you to see if you can buy or not. But they were explaining to me like the market is getting crazy because people from Chicago, New York is coming with cash. Mm-hmm. So if you want to buy a home, forget about this. This is a very long process right now. And I saw the home that was probably like, let's say $500,000. And 2 months later was $600,000 increase, $100,000 increase. And I was not in the list. They were like, no, you were 10 on the list. So if 9 people don't buy, you have your opportunity. One home. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I think that kind of makes me think of like in real estate investing, like if anybody wants to be a real estate investor, the best way to find deals is to know the right people. So like some houses I bought in Kansas City, my property manager was managing houses for another guy. He was an older guy who wanted to sell all of his houses and retire. Oh. And so those houses, nobody had the chance to buy them because she brought that deal from him to us and we bought it, So I think like, buying a house for your family to live in is one thing, but like if you're investing in real estate, if you know people who are also investing in real estate, you can find, they call it like off-market deals. Mm-hmm. You can find some of those and that eliminates your competition because maybe somebody needs to leave their house because whatever, like they just want to pack up and leave, or their house is messed up and they don't want to fix it. They don't want to list it online. And you could buy that as a real estate investor. Like that's where some good deals are.
It's deals that is not even in the MLS.
Not on the MLS. Yeah, nowhere. And it's just like word of mouth. And
nice.
Yeah, so those are the deals.
Let me know those deals. I didn't know.
How many homes do you have?
I have 5 by myself in Kansas City, and then me and my dad together, we bought 9. And then I have the one more in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
Why you don't sell right now? The market is too.
Yeah, but I mean because like if I sell, then I have that money, but I need to do something with that money, right? And like my goal with this in the end of the day is like, so I play soccer. I'm making a good salary right now, but one day that's just gonna disappear. So I'm trying to build up passive income on the side so that whenever my salary goes from up here to just 0, that I still have income on the side to help me support my life.
You see the mentality. This is the mentality.
The smart mentality.
Yeah, because young players that just sign a pro, they don't care about that.
Yeah.
They like to do the lens on the. They buy a nice car like a Ferrari, and later on, if you don't sign another year, how you gonna put the gas nowadays on a Ferrari?
Yeah, no, I try to tell all the young guys like you gotta be smart with your money, because and it happens like maybe it's because you get cut because you weren't good enough, or maybe you are good enough and you get injured or something. Like you don't know what's gonna happen ever. So it's really important to be smart with your money. And then like a lot of times we do make good money, so you can still buy, like if you really like a nice car, you can still get a nice car, but make sure that you like take care of your investments first, and then on top of that get a nice car or nice clothes, or
priorities.
You got to prioritize your future and your investments first.
What do you use like for people that is watching us? What do you used to use? Because probably you do customize it, Excel, something like that. So what do you use to control your money? Like you use a spreadsheet, an app, or
I use this app called Mint.com, MINT.
Mint,
and it's free. Like I always recommend to everybody. I should get a sponsorship.
Do they pay you?
I should get a sponsorship because
man,
what you waiting for?
I'm always preaching. I'm always preaching to everybody. Get Mint.com. Basically, like you can attach it to your bank accounts, your 401k. Like if you own any houses, you can plug all of that in, your credit cards, and it's just like. It's a dashboard for all of your finances. So it tracks your budget every month. It tracks your net worth. It tracks any debt you have, any investments you have, how they're going. all in one place. So I think a lot of people, I'm always surprised at how many people have no idea how much they're spending every month. And even me, like because I found out about Mint.com from one of my teammates my third year in the league or something. And I was smart with money before then, but I didn't know really what I was spending my money on. And so I plugged all my info into that. I was like, wow, I'm spending this much money on food. Like I had no idea, or I'm spending this, like you don't know. And then you're like, yeah, I don't think I really want to spend that much money on food anymore. So you're like more conscious about how you're spending your money.
Subscriptions, all the things you realize there.
Is it free? You pay for it. Yeah.
It's free. It's free. So everybody should get Mint.com or something similar. Like you need to know what you spend every month.
Now just Mint, because I think they're going to sponsor you. We're going to push on
just Mint.com. Yeah, that's
Mint.
the only one.
Mint.com. Kai is already downloading the thing.
Yeah.
And my phone.
No, it's really cool. I saw some similar, but now I'm gonna use Mint. Yeah. But it's crazy because
they just got 3 more clients.
Yeah, look, they have the contract, the access of your banking account, so they see the transaction. And they say they divide already for example, Netflix. They know that is
they
for
categorize it for you.
Entertainment.
Yeah. And you can just go on and you see a list of all the transactions, and you see, you spend this much on food, this much on entertainment, this much on housing every month. And you can say like, how much money did I save last month? You can see it, and so you can you can set goals for yourself. All right, I want to save $100 a month, and I want to invest that money, and like see if you're keeping up with that. And if you didn't make your goal, you could see exactly why. Oh, it's because I went out to dinner like that extra night, or I went out and got drinks with my friends, and maybe I didn't need to, So I think it's super helpful, and it's like step one for everybody.
And how you control your house. I know you have a company that take care of this, but do you do your personal control to see the income, the cost, everything?
I have there's a thing called Stessa. It's assets backwards, but it's just a website. Yeah. And that's like a really good free accounting software for real estate specifically. So like every month, my property manager sends me a report of this is who paid the rent this month, and this are like the expenses that we had because maybe something broke.
Yeah.
They send me all the details, and then I just plug that into Stessa, and then at the end of the year, you can just press generate report, and it gets a tax package, and you send it to your accountant.
I'm sorry, a lot of questions. Huh?
Okay.
This is my
I got
turn
one that I want to hear. Yeah.
So in a home, I was checking to rent my house. I'm trying to buy a new one and put my one to rent. So that is insurance that covers like if freezer, refrigerator breaks. Do you have that?
No, I don't have that. I
think this works?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that you can usually like self-insure, right?
Like
for a lot of those things.
Yeah.
I think that you can just like, if a fridge breaks, you could probably cover it. You need insurance like in case there's a fire in your house. Yeah. Like I have that kind of insurance, but for like smaller things like that, I think that usually it's just better to, if it breaks, like you pay for it out of pocket. Because like sometimes it's really a bother to have to go through the insurance company. They take a long time, and you need to prove all this stuff, so it's easier and faster for you. Yeah, and because like if the fridge goes out and someone's living there, they need a fridge, and you don't have a couple weeks to get somebody to get a new fridge for them because they need a fridge.
There's a guy calling me to do the insurance. I'm not gonna do it anymore. You changed my mind.
Yeah, I think it's not worth it.
It's crazy. It's a nightmare. You call those insurance companies, they keep calling you forever. I'm gonna put your phone there. That way they call you now.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that is a question.
No, it's a statement. It was when you asked about how many people moved to Florida. So it says, according to Fox, nearly 1,000 people are moving to Florida per day.
Goodness.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's crazy.
1,000 per day. Yeah, I saw 600 now. It's
more than that.
Yeah, it's
50%.
crazy. So you should buy a home here in Orlando as well.
I mean, I bought my house in 2019, so I have one house here.
Oh, you're good. So if you bought in 19, your price.
So I got a follow-up question. And any crazy, like, renter stories, somebody doing something just stupid or
some movies prohibited,
destroying the house or something crazy like that, or
man, yeah, there's some crazy ones. I don't know if I don't want to put people on blast, but yeah, people do some crazy things sometimes. But I just try to, just as like the landlord side, I just try to treat people with respect as much as possible. Like make sure that their house is as clean as possible. If something gets broken, it's taken care of as fast as possible. And I think a lot of times like people will reciprocate that and they'll treat you with respect. Sometimes people don't, but luckily I have the property manager that deals with like if there's more chaos, like the property manager deals with it up front.
Makes your life easier.
So he's so organized. He's so good with the financials. Let's do the challenge. We never paid the $100. You want to make $100? I know it's not a lot, but you probably can pay something like because we have a challenge here. Challenge time, Siosito.
Challenge time!
I have a challenge here. I think he's gonna make, bro. I think it's
I
time
think so.
to pay.
Somebody's
So
gonna.
Caio can explain to you, but
You
you
know
can
Rubik's
make
cube, right?
Yeah.
you can make a good money. Yeah.
So it's just a Rubik's cube. There's actually two parts to it. So we'll give you a color, and your job is to within 30 seconds get one color. So orange or whatever color he gives you, and then or you do the whole thing. You get $100. You get 10 if you get one side, and you get 100 if you get the whole thing. And 30
You will give it the
side.
color.
Orange.
Orange.
And dale.
Ay, ay, ay. 100% return in 20 seconds?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Oh man. Can't do it.
You just gotta get a side.
I
Get one
used to
side.
know how to
Oh,
do
you're
a
almost
Rubik's Cube too.
Yeah, the two ones is harder.
Oh, I think.
He's almost there. Let's go time.
All right, I got one.
Oh! It's the first game.
The first person.
Oh, there's a lot of 100 here, gang. Pick one.
Gotta
Guys,
find a 10.
first time. Tesho.
Tesho
Man,
knocked it
good
out.
job.
Yeah,
I used to know how to do a whole Rubik's Cube, but when I was in college, I like sat down and learned how to do it. But I definitely like everything
Nice.
else
Picked
from
the wrong
college.
guy
I
because
forgot
if
it.
you pay attention, he said, "I'm a nerd from the start."
I know, but it's good. We need to pay for someone. Now we need to find the $100 bills here. We were not prepared for that.
That's 10. We're on 10.
Good job, man. That was good. So we gotta change the challenge now.
Yeah. You got any more business questions or
Yeah,
what?
I have a lot. So, you were mentioning about single family. Yeah. So have you ever tried apartments as well? Because I know in Orlando they don't rent a lot of apartments. So what they do is they build an apartment, and the builder or the investors, they rent from this group. So they don't sell the apartment to rent later. So have you ever thought about apartment as well, or it's just single family home?
I've thought about it, but I'm still playing soccer, so I think it's to like buy apartments, you have to really be like deep into the details, and it's like very business, like you're competing with businesses at that point.
Yeah.
So definitely that's out of my scope. Like single family homes, I could just do it in my free time, and I can give it to a property manager. But to buy a whole apartment, like you gotta know some real business people, and you gotta do like super due diligence on the property. So not right now, I definitely haven't done that, but who knows in the future.
I think what's interesting with Tesho is, or what I'm taking away from this conversation is he's focusing on one specific asset that you try and dominate on. You make sure you're the best at it, and then you own that.
Yeah.
He's not spreading out, trying to put his hands in everything. And
It's hard. Yeah. The other question that I was about to do, but I know the answer probably is like other type of business. Like, for example, you work with soccer. So why not open a soccer company or now opening like an ice cream shop company, whatever. So are you focused on real estate right now, or what is your future plans?
Yeah, I think right now definitely I'm like focused on real estate, but it keeps going back to because my job is to be a soccer player. So like it doesn't make sense to do anything that would take away time or energy from me being a soccer player. And if I wanted to open a soccer store, I mean, maybe I could like pay money and somebody else manages it or whatever. But if I wanted to like do any of that stuff, I think it would take away like my time and energy from a soccer player. And then next thing I know, I'm not a soccer player anymore. So it's not worth it. So, I think that's something important for any athletes like listening is investing is super important, but like don't let it distract you from being a soccer player, There we go.
or whatever the goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. You gotta keep.
That's where we make our money.
Yeah,
Like we make our money playing soccer, so it doesn't make me. It's like stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. You shouldn't like lose focus of like where you're making your dollars at, and that's like me extending my career 1 or 2 more years is much more important than opening some small business or like being an Uber. Like I could be an Uber driver right now if I wanted to make some more money because I have free time, but then I would be tired and I wouldn't be a soccer. So it's not worth it, So you need to say like what's your priority and then find investments that can fit into that life.
With soccer, how many years is in your plan to keep playing? Like you just mentioned 2 years.
20 years. No, I don't know.
You're too young.
Yeah, I'm coming up on 10, which I think is a great milestone, and then I'm still having a lot of fun with it, and I have 2 kids right now. My oldest kid is 3, my youngest is only 6 months. And I want them to be able to like see me and remember me playing soccer. My 3-year-old now, he can like be like, "Oh, I saw you on the field." And I think it's very cool. So
it's 2 girls or
2 boys?
2 boys.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do they play already or no?
Yeah, my oldest one, he He went to XL. I think that's one of your guys' competitors, but it's like close to my house.
I love Kieran, the owner of XL. No, we don't have competitors. It's a good place.
Yeah, so and it was so cool, like with the drills they had for the little kids, and I'm sure you guys do similar stuff here. But even he was at home, and he was like, because they have like red light, green light, and they're dancing around and playing at the same time, and he had a lot of fun at just soccer practice.
With 3 years old, having the contact with the ball is amazing. This is really good.
Yeah. So is the dream for you, would you want your sons to be a player as well, or are you going to put that pressure on them? Or are you just going to kind of let them do their thing?
I'll probably just let them do their thing until they say like, okay, I want to do this or that, and maybe I'll try to give them the extra push the way that my dad did, but I don't want to like up front push them into anything. If they want to be a soccer player, like I'll try to support them and like make sure to just keep pushing them in a like safe and healthy way, But if he wants to be an artist, or he wants to be a nerd like me and go to be an engineer, like whatever he wants to do, or either of them want to do, like I'll just kind of like give them the space to like say who they are, and then try to help support them in that. I think that's a parent's job.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that is amazing.
No, I do have a question about business, so I wanted to know, because you have a bunch of properties. Are you paying cash, or are you picking up a mortgage?
Mortgages for sure. Yeah, you can just leverage your money. It's just a really. Real estate is like a cheat code, honestly. Like the way it's set up I think it's the best way for an average person to make a lot of wealth. Because even, I'm buying properties out of state or whatever, but just an average person, you can buy a house and live in it. You can do 3.5% down. So if you buy a house for
3.5,
yeah. So let's say that you buy a house for whatever, 500,000, which is a lot. That's a pretty expensive house, but you have to pay less than $20,000 down. Then you own that house. And the next year you can leave that house, go rent an apartment, or go buy another house and rent that house out. So now you have one rental property that should take care of itself. Like I think for everyone, it is manageable to get yourself like a couple rental and 500,000. That's an expensive example. Like maybe you find a house for $100,000 and you put $4,000 to buy a house.
Cheap.
Like you can buy a house for $4,000. You can buy a house, move out the next year, turn it into a rental. Like people can do that. Average people can, because sometimes people might say, oh, Tesho has these houses is because he's an athlete and this and that. And maybe it's true, but also like go listen to podcasts. Like people do way more with way less. Like you can do it.
But I wanna to highlight something as well. You gotta have documents, paper, green card, citizenship. Otherwise, me as an immigrant, now I got approved for my green card. And now everything changed, rates, everything. But having a document, yes, you can get 3.5% is amazing. And this is just a simple math. Like you just mentioned that you get 10% with your house. So this means Kyle doesn't like debit. But the debit is a good debit.
Mm-hmm. It pays for itself plus some.
Yeah. So if you pay like 4.3, for example, like you get the money in a bank, you get for 4.3 a month, you get paid 10% a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
So 4.3 a year. I'm sorry. The interest is 4.3, for example, the average on the bank. You get this $100,000, 4.3 a year. But you get paid 10% a year.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing investment.
Yeah, you take on the debt, but it's good debt because it pays for itself. And you buy an appreciating asset with the debt, So like you're making the 10%, but also the house is going up in value maybe 3% every year. And the mortgage is getting paid down like 1% or 2% every year. So it all adds up to a lot.
So never rent, never sell, just rent.
Yeah, I think you should just keep buying houses as much as you can and hold them for the long term. Like a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I wish I would have held on to my house." When you look at if you live in a house right now, go look at Zillow. Like, what was your house worth 10 years ago? It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I bought mine 4 years ago.
So what would you recommend to somebody that wants to start like getting into real estate like you did? What steps would you recommend to follow like quickly if you could put like 3-4 things down? What would you do? Yeah,
the first thing would be to check out this website called Bigger Pockets. It's basically like Facebook for real estate investors. Bigger Pockets, they have a website and they have a good podcast. So that's a good spot. And then also just find real estate investor group meetups in your area. Like I know in Orlando, they have at least 2 groups that I know of that they meet like weekly or every other week. And so just go to those meetups and say, hey guys, I'm a beginner. I'm trying to get into real estate investing. And people will be more than happy to help you. And they'll say like, oh, you should do this and that. So go on to Bigger Pockets. But I think the most important thing is to go to those meetups. And like I said, knowing the right people is super important in real estate. So go talk to the people who are investing in real estate.
You have your group of investors that you do these meetings. Is it weekly, monthly, or?
Yeah, I've been going like once a month. I think that they do more often, but because of my schedule, I can't always go.
So when you arrive on this meeting, they were like, "Oh, he's a pro player. Let's go." Or no? How was the thing?
Maybe sometimes, but then there's also guys over there who own like a couple hundred houses or something like that. So maybe they're the superstars in that space, right?
Yeah, I know, but they like the thing about being a pro soccer. I think this, bring attention for everybody.
Yeah.
Like having a famous guy in a group.
Yeah, no.
So what is the name of the group that people can follow?
I know that there's one called like REIA, like Orlando RIA, Real Estate Investment Association. Okay. So that's one for sure. And then there's another one. I'm not sure what it's called, but like if you go on Bigger Pockets and look up like groups in Orlando, so it's the Bigger Pockets group that they have one here.
But you need to invest with them or no?
No,
they just give
it's just like, it's just support basically.
Okay.
So, I could just say, oh, I'm trying to buy more houses in Kansas City. How do you guys think I can do it? And somebody says, oh, I heard about a new loan that you can go. So, or I'm just, so it's just kind of a support group or like they call it like maybe a mastermind group where everybody gets together and tries to like support each other. But yeah, like literally hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, whatever. Say I'm trying to join the Orlando group and I could put you in touch with the person who runs it. Or wherever you're at, like I feel like if you have questions about real estate, just hit me up. I love
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you post every week on Twitter. You have like a talk, right?
About every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I do like a little Twitter Spaces, and I just talk about whatever. And people can come up and just talk to me about whatever. Like I'm just really trying to get out there, put myself out there, meet new people. So it's been really cool so far. Like I've connected with a lot of very cool people through that, and we've had some really good conversations.
It's a good marketing having you taking care of the financials from the pro players because they don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
most of them doesn't know.
Yeah, a lot of them hit me up because I did one talking about real estate investing with another player I know who's really big in the space, and a lot of players hit me up like, "Whoa, I didn't know." You guys need to tell me some more about real estate. Yeah.
Have you ever bought a house without the money? It's funny, but if you do the research on YouTube, you will see people buying without the money. Like, let's say they got with a credit card limit. If your credit card is 4,000, and you need to do a 4,000 down payment, they get the money from the credit card, do the down payment, and it's crazy. Have you ever bought a house?
I haven't done it like that, but yeah, there's a lot of creative strategies. Like one strategy that I'm doing right now is you could buy a house that's messed up. I'm doing it in Kansas City. You buy a house that's messed up for very cheap, and then you fix it up and then refinance, and you basically get all your money out. So in the end, it's like I put no money into the house because the money that I bought the house with and that I rehabbed the house with, I'm going to be able to get a loan from the bank for all that, and I can pull all my money out, and I still own a house, and I put no money.
So you don't flip the house, you just...
Basically, you flip it to yourself. Is what happens. You flip it, but instead of selling it, you just get a loan on it, and then you keep it. So you
refinance. Do you recommend refi?
Yeah, I think it's helpful, especially like if you have a rental property that you can refinance and still cash flow on it. I think it's super helpful.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
Or like,
if you have your primary residence, like a lot of times people might say, oh, I have no money to buy a rental property. But you might, if you've been living in your house for a few years, especially here in Florida, we said the property's been going up, you can get a home equity line of credit and get like, because you have, let's say you might have $100,000 of equity in your house that it's not in your bank account, but you can call a bank and get access to that money. So
it's crazy.
You can look into that, and then you buy a rental property with that. And that's the same example you said. Maybe you have to pay 4.3% on that debt, but if you buy a rental property that's giving you 10, it's good.
You get the difference.
Yeah, you get the difference. Yeah, so there's lots of ways that you can be creative with real estate.
Yeah. And I have a quick fire questions, Caíto. If you can explain to him. Is related with the business as well.
Really easy. It's just 30 seconds. He's going to ask you a question. It's going to be like a two-parter, like not a two-parter, but like 2 answers, and you pick whatever answer.
Okay.
There's
no right or wrong. It's just you. Okay? Ready?
Yep.
Home or apartment?
Home.
Renting or flipping?
Renting.
Stocks or real estate?
Real estate.
Crypto or stocks?
Stocks. I want to say crypto, but man, I lost too much. I always lose in crypto. I think I'm so smart. No, I don't know what I'm doing.
Me too. I was making a good money, showing my friends. I show you a lot of times. You see Bitcoin, Dogecoin was just skyrocket. And I start losing money, and I never show you anymore.
So I think crypto is super interesting, and you'll see me on Twitter all the time. I'm in these spaces listening to people talk about crypto. Like I think it's very cool, but I haven't figured it out enough. Like
your portfolio is good in crypto now.
That's like just the cherry on top. Like definitely, I have my main focus is like real estate and just like stocks in general.
Then what kind of app you use for stocks?
I mean, we have like our 401k through the league, and then I think Robinhood is a great one for people who are just like, it's very like user friendly. So
I love Robinhood as well. It's really cool. See you, Zito. Mera Media, you can use Robinhood.
Robinhood.
You too.
New trick. I have Robinhood as well. Yeah.
Have any questions?
I got plenty more back to soccer.
Vamos que vamos.
Business. I got tons. I could go on all day.
I did a lot. I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, you're good. So another question I do have actually goes back to college. Why did you choose to play Division II and not? Everybody's got the goal of playing D1. I played D2 as well. So why D2 and not D1 like everybody wants?
I mean, I grew up in Colorado, and there was a lot of D2 schools over there, and I didn't want to leave Colorado, honestly. I had offers to go, I think, to like California and stuff like that for some D1 schools, but I just wanted to stay in Colorado. And then also, like, the school I went to was a really good school, and my parents both were like, you got to go to school to get an education. And, that was an engineering school, so that played into it as well. I was going to get a really good education and still stay, like, in my home state.
Makes a difference, then, yeah. So when you said your parents wanted you to finish school, you never got your degree, right? Or did you finish?
I didn't get my engineering degree, but luckily when I joined MLS, they partnered with SNHU, so it was like an online school.
Right.
I think they changed which school they're partnered with now, but so I was able to get a undergrad in general studies, and then I actually got a master's degree in finance while playing soccer.
Nice.
So and I try to like. Man, we have a lot of free time as soccer players, and I think that it's important that people use even like 1 or 2 hours a day. You can get a degree in your free time, or you can invest in real estate in your free time. Like you got to just use that wisely, because everybody wants to play video games, or you want to like watch the Netflix shows, and you could still do that, but like make sure spend 1 or 2 hours a day doing something productive, and it really adds up.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Investing in yourself. Investing in yourself.
See? Yeah.
Next question. I got a couple more. And this goes back to MLS. What is the training like? So a player asked me this question. I want to know what is training like for pro players? So for you at Orlando City or FC Dallas, what is it like?
So like one thing that Oscar talks about is kind of like a microcycle. So it's like every week you have a microcycle, and so maybe Monday is just kind of, or let's say Tuesday is like getting back into it, but it's a pretty tough day. Usually you might split up into offense and defense on that day, do like specific position work, and then play small side at the end of the day. And then like maybe Wednesday is you do the shaping for the team, and then 11v11. Thursday might be a lower day. So it kind of depends, but there's kind of a rhythm to it. So you might have like 2 pretty hard days every week, and then 2 like lower days. You also work on set pieces in there. So that's what on the field looks like. And then off the field, I think it's really important for people to just take care of their bodies. That's something that I probably underestimated as a younger player, because I was just naturally like very healthy. I had never had injury problems. And then I started getting some injury problems. So I was like, man, I need to start being more serious off the field. And so, just if you have time, you just have so much time. Like I try to lift weights quite often. And I've been doing yoga also, which I think is really helpful. And we also have like massage therapists come into the facility. We have trainers that are really good, who they might be able to give you like certain types of treatment if you're feeling pain anywhere. So I think off the field is, it's very important as well.
Yeah, how about nutrition?
Nutrition is important too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like the healthiest eater, but you got to eat, like you have to eat healthy enough, so, just, you can't be eating like crazy stuff, especially once it gets close to the game. What I try to do is like, maybe like right after the game is when I usually have like my cheat meal or whatever. Yeah. Like you go all out. Oh, we do have some good barbecue.
Yeah. I saw one day on the Orlando City Instagram, like a big barbecue day,
Yeah, they have, because we have some like Argentinian coaches, so they bring
Perea,
they bring the best cuts of meat from Argentina and the asado, so we just like pull it out on the grill. It's really good. So
cook it up
right after the game.
Yeah, that's healthy enough though. It's not too. So
you drink or no?
No, you can't. Well, you can't drink too much. Like every once in a while, but you have to be smart about it. You have to be smart about it.
Yeah, no whiskey. No.
Next question, and these kind of go into each other. What is the pro player lifestyle like? So what does your typical day look like?
So let's say right now we have to arrive at the facility at 9:00, and then you just go and you do like your prehab. You might do some stretching, some like mobility movements, start training at 9:30, and then maybe we train until 11. Then you come off the field and you might do some weights and some like recovery type stuff until like 12:30, and then you're done for the rest of the day. So like that's like the average day, and you're literally done by 12:30 or 1 on most days. We might have video a few times a week, either before or after training, but yeah, usually we're done by like 1, even at the latest 2:00, and then you just have the rest of the day free. And it's like, it's free, but you have to be smart. Like if you, especially the guys without kids, like I think getting a nap is important. Even me, like my kids go to daycare, so sometimes I go home and I get a nap before I go and pick them up. So like getting a nap, making sure that you go home and do yoga, like I was saying. I try to do some yoga sometimes, or you are free, but you don't want to just go crazy in the afternoon and go to the beach or something. You know, like it is still part of your job to like maintain your health. But yeah, that's why I keep saying we have a lot of free time, because we're done every day at 2:00. And if you don't have kids, that's like 2 to let's say 10. That's 8 hours a day of whatever you want to do. Like
you can do a lot of bad things if you don't have the mentality.
You do a lot of bad things, but you can also like build a lot of great things, you know, like you can read some great books or invest in real estate, get your degree or whatever it is, like make some cool art, lots of things you can do.
Today you didn't took the nap, huh?
No, I came straight here. Came straight here. No nap today.
He want to sleep right after here.
And then I think a good question for kids to kind of understand, what sacrifices did you have to make to get to the level that you're at?
I mean, a lot. Like, man, I think like the hardest thing is when you're growing up, a lot of times you're playing with just the people in your neighborhood or whatever. And then you see like, oh, they go out and they're partying, or they're only training a few times a week. But you got to remember, you're competing with people from all over the world. So like I was growing up in Colorado, but now look at the people on my team: Brazil, Argentina, Austria, Sweden, like people from everywhere in the world. So I guess the main sacrifices was just like how much time I would put into it. You know, other people would be spending their summer breaks or after school, they're just like doing whatever, hanging out, but maybe I'm trying to get a training in or something like that. So just, you got to put in as much time as possible.
Yeah. And then did you ever go to like parties, or you watch your friends go to parties and like, that's not for me? Like you had to make those sacrifices too, right? Or
yeah, definitely. You have to make those sacrifices, especially because like we play games on Saturdays and stuff. Like in college, you play a game on Saturday or whatever, so you can't go and party on a Friday, you know. Right. So
make sure you play well.
Yeah, he was the popular in the college. Yeah, I bet. Being a soccer player.
Yeah, my school is a nice small school for nerds. So.
And then question for you: strengths and weaknesses as a player. What would you say are your strengths, and what would you say are your weaknesses?
I think my strengths are hard work and just like, I think just finding goals. Like I think I create opportunities for myself or for the team. I feel like I have a nose for it. And then weaknesses, probably, I mean, I'm just not as technical as some other guys. Like you have Mauricio Pereira on our team who's just unreal. And like, that's just not me as a player. Like, but I know, okay, that's his strength. So my strength is going to be to get wide open so that he can pass me the ball and I can score it. Yeah. So like, and it's important to know like what are your strengths and weaknesses and like play within that, you know, like if I'm not the guy that should be getting the ball deep and trying to dribble 10 people, then I shouldn't do that. Like I should give the ball to somebody else who's going to do that and then go and do my job and score a goal at the end.
You're the guy that kills.
Yeah. That's I finish it off, you know, or I try to cause chaos by working hard, like off the ball. I think I also help the team a lot by just working super hard, like pressing the center backs relentlessly all the time. I think that and then they bank a bad pass up to the forwards, and then we have our defenders come in, they win the ball, and then we have it back. So those are my strengths, I think.
And then do you discuss those things with the coach? Like do your coaches sit down and you say, okay, you know, we like this from you, this is your plan? Do they talk with you like that, or how does that work?
It depends. I think now that, I mean, I've been with Oscar for a long time and I'm kind of an older player, you don't need to like check in that often. I think maybe if you're a younger player, it's pretty helpful to just check in to make sure that you're understanding the game properly or you're understanding your coach's expectations properly. But maybe as you get older and more experienced, like it's kind of assumed, you know, like like, you know who you are, the coach can see who you are. Maybe every once in a while you need to just check in if things aren't really going the way you think for whatever reason. But now that I'm older, I don't need to have like those kind of explicit conversations with the coach. Cause
I mean, older. He's older for soccer. No, not even older for soccer yet. There is I forgot his name. He used to play in Palmeiras, my team. He's 43 years old. He's still playing like amazing. You know, I think it's a mentality as well. Like, you're never too old for anything.
Especially now. I mean, they have so much technology to help you recover that people are playing longer and longer than ever before. And even like we were talking about Nani last year. I mean, this guy was in ridiculous shape, and I think he was 34 maybe, and he was in really, really good shape. So
he came here to play. It was amazing. We were playing the foot mesa, which is the table,
the ping pong kind of thing.
And I was like, some of the players, because I know how to play that thing, it's different than soccer. It's not just. And he was like, I want to play with you, Thiago. Man, he destroyed me.
You know, who need to get is Pedro Gallese, because he's the goalie, but he's the best foot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's the best one on our team at that game. He's unreal. He's so good.
Yeah, the good thing is we are teaching his kids. The two kids is here.
So you got to play with him because like everyone's like, okay, the goalies, it's going to be an easy win, and he's out here smashing headers. Yeah, he's good. He's really good. So
He's really good.
And then one of the kids asked me, what do you think is your best goal you ever scored?
Best goal, I get it. Kind of depends. Like the best by technique was I scored this goal maybe my second year in New York City against New York City. Like I was like in the corner of the 18-yard box, smashed it far post, like top corner.
Nice.
But maybe the best one,
maybe most impactful.
Yeah, like the most impactful was when I was at FC Dallas. We were playing Seattle in the playoffs, and it was the second leg. That's when they did home and away, and we were losing. I subbed in like the 80th minute or something. In my first touch, I scored, and like it sparked a comeback so we came back.
Nice.
And so it was me and another guy, Walker Zimmerman. We both subbed in the like 80th minute or something. We both scored in that game.
Oh my!
And then we went to PK shootouts, and we both scored our PK. So that goal was that was probably the most impactful, and just it was a great.
And after that was a big party, I bet, huh?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a really good time.
I know. After big goals, big events.
Yeah. Next question: best player you played with?
Oof, there's a lot of really good players. I'll go with someone I'm not playing with now because I don't want to. I don't see a lot of my teammates now.
Yeah, I don't want to ask you who is the best player from Orlando City.
So
right now.
People that I'm not playing with now, I'll say like there's two guys that stick out: Mauro Diaz, who I mentioned earlier, and then Fabian Castillo. So he's a Colombian guy, really, really good player. So those two guys are, they were top notch players. I remember because I used to think, oh, I'm pretty fast. And I came into the league, and we had to do these like sprint tests. Yeah. And that guy Fabian Castillo, I saw his time compared to my time, and he smoked me. I was the second fastest on the team at that time, but he smoked me. So I was like, something must be wrong. So I ran the test again, and no, he was just that much faster than me. So that's when I was like, whoa, there's like levels to the you think you're fast, and then someone like Fabian Castillo
and Juan, there's a good fight.
Yeah, Juan is just he's another he's one of those guys too that you think you're fast, and then you go run against Juan, and you're like, okay, I'm not fast anymore. Yeah.
How you train to become like faster? Like.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have any good tips on that. For me, I think a lot of it was just like good genes. I don't think I did any specific. I know that like Benji, for example, like he's a really fast guy, and I know he works with like a specific coach on some, or at least he was for some time to because you can improve your speed. You know, I didn't do too much of that, but there is ways to do that. A lot of it, I think, comes down to like your genes. Like maybe you're just not going to be fast.
Hey guys, if you think you're slow, I'm sorry.
But some guys are really slow and they're amazing players. Like, so if you're not a fast guy, like I said before, know your strengths and weaknesses. If you're a fast guy, like use that to your advantage. Try to get in behind the defense. Yeah. If you're not, then don't try to get in behind the defense. Yeah. You need to get better with your touch, you know? So know yourself, I think, is really important.
Yeah, let's do the meta sponsorship, Siozito. And also, I want to say, while you think on your question, like if you want to watch this in Portuguese, você pode trocar settings e colocar em português. Now I'm talking in Portuguese. En español, tú puedes cambiar en los settings y poner autotraducción en Spanish. Y in English, you have your closed caption that you can put automatically right there, and you can watch us.
That's it.
Yes?
The Power Play podcast is sponsored by Meta Media.
Whoa.
Boom. Next question, and I got probably three more. Is there a point where you realize, maybe it was after you signed your contract, and you go, I made it?
Honestly, I still feel like I haven't made it. Like I feel like it's just a journey. Like all of it is a journey. You know, I think if you have the mentality of I made it, that's when the journey's over. You know, so
you start going like this.
Yeah, you start going down. So I literally still don't feel like I've made it. I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm trying to improve. So honestly, I've never been like, oh, I made it. Like it's still just like part of the journey, and you got to enjoy it too. Like if you don't enjoy the process of whatever you're doing, like it's gonna be a grind. Like if you don't really enjoy playing soccer, but you want to have a professional soccer player lifestyle, it's not gonna work out. Like you need to enjoy the process. You need to enjoy like the hard days of practice. You need to enjoy like doing the beep tests and so, like just that process. So I would never.
So what about the gym? You like going to the gym? Speaking of the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I do like feeling healthy, honestly. Like maybe each rep, I'm not like, yes, like I love this, but it's like the whole process of like trying to be like the strongest version of myself. Like I do enjoy that. And then especially, I mean, after a workout, I always feel like very proud of myself. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, but I think you should be proud because all the pro players that I know, their dream is to, of course, Champions League, all the thing, but play to the national team.
Yeah.
And you made
that was my next question. Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, how you feel and how was that invitation from your
Yeah, the first time you got it, how did you feel when you got the call up for the national team?
Yeah, it felt amazing, man. Because I mean, you know, I was born in Canada, spent the first 7 years of my life there, and then to be called in, and you're one of the best Canadian players in the entire world right now. That was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy that happened. Because, I mean. And this is true of everybody, but like we're all just people, you know. Like I was just some kid who like was born in Canada, grew up in Colorado, but I was just some kid, you know.
How
like,
old you were? How old?
When I first got called up, I think I was 22, maybe. My first
You were
call
at
up.
home, and how did they call?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think I was at home, and I got a call. But yeah, it was exciting.
Did you know you were going to be called, or was it a complete surprise?
It was. I think it had kind of been a little bit building up that I was going to get called, so it wasn't a complete surprise. But it was still just like a great moment. And I think like more than that was just I remember getting into the camp and just seeing all the guys. And I'm like, man, you know, like these are the best Canadian players in the world. Like that, it was very cool to be like actually be in that environment too, for the first time. And then even since then, man, the team has gone just ballistic. The team is so good right now that, you know, anytime I get called up right now, like last year I got called into the Gold Cup, and it was just like it was a real honor to be there because there's some like world-class talent in the team right now.
Yeah. But it's good because they respect, because everything that you do, your experience in a team, I think this count a lot. Like for example, I remember Neymar, when they were the first call up, there is Roberto Carlos. He was the guy with experience talking with the guys, like the young guys, like, hey, calm down, you will call it. So you do this part right now, with the young ones. You say, hey, guys, you got to relax. So how this works, like with
I especially try to do that here in like Orlando City, just talk to the rookies. And like what I was saying earlier about the mentality, like I warn them a lot of times, you know, like if they're not in the team, I'm like, hey, I know you're frustrated, but like this is where your career is made right here. Like, how are you going to act in this moment? Like I tell all the rookies that all the time, this is where your career is made. Or I try to just like check in with people, and I try to like lead by example too, in terms of just like I show up and I think I have a good mood most of the time. And like I said, I try to come early and do like prehab. I stay late. I hit the weights. I do my stretching. So like I lead by example in that way. And I also try to be like a welcoming presence or whatever. If anybody needs to vent or they have questions about whether it's soccer or business or whatever, like I try to be there for people. Yeah.
And then I want to talk about your caps. You have 17, right, caps?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It sounds around.
And then how did it feel when you got your first cap? You know, I don't know if you started or not, but when you played, how was that feeling? You know, you're on the field representing your country.
What is caps?
Cap is how many times you played
for the national team.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, yeah. My first cap I did start actually. It was in a country called Dominica. It's a very small island. Not the Dominican Republic, it's Dominica, but it was it was a great experience, and we won the game, so it was really cool. I did not score, but I think I either scored or assisted my second game because we played them 2 times in a row, so I think I scored or assisted in the second.
How'd that feel scoring?
That was great too, for sure. Really good, yeah. And then you got your jersey, and I mean it's like so cool because like my grandparents are in, you know, like I have a lot of family in Canada, so they can come to the games and stuff like that too, and it's really cool.
And who's the best player you played with Canada?
I mean, Alfonso Davis is nuts, but yeah, also Atiba Hutchinson. He's just a legend of Canadian soccer. And so, yeah, this guy is if you don't know him, like he plays for Besiktas and he has for a long time, and he's amazing. He's such a good player, just so calm in the middle. So, and yeah, so he's a really good.
But I want to learn a little bit more about Alfonso Davis. So like, since you play with him, what does he have that's like, holy shit, this guy's different?
I think he's like, I mean, his speed and strength is just another level. Like, I think the first time that I was in a camp with him, he was maybe 16 or something. And a lot of times, like 16-year-olds come in. Like, we have 16-year-olds on our team in Orlando, but sometimes you might be able to like bully them a little bit because I'm a grown man and you're 16-year-old. But Alfonso was bullying adults when he was 16, so he's just strong. And he works hard. Like, even like look at the difference in his body from when he was in Vancouver to Bayern. This guy is jacked right now, you know, like, so he is not like, oh, he's just born gifted. Like, he is still working super hard. So I think he was born like with just unreal strength, unreal speed, but he deserves it because he works hard. And he still has a great personality for someone who's so famous and has been so successful at such a young age. Like, I mean, I think it's hard for a lot of people to deal with that, and he's dealt with it well. And
then the last question I have, unless you got any more, is how do you deal with, you know, you said earlier, being on the bubble, right? So you said you're on the bubble of the Canadian national team. how do you deal with that? Because obviously you want to make the team. So what do you think you need to improve on to actually get in to make sure you're on the roster for the World Cup?
I mean, I think it's just keep solidifying my strengths. You know, I need to try to get games here in Orlando and score goals here in Orlando, and that's what's gonna do it for me. And it goes back to the same thing I said earlier. Like, I'm not really competing with anybody else. Like, all I can do is be the best version of myself. Like, so if at the end of this year I'm the best I could possibly be and they don't call me in, I did it. Like, I did my best. What else can I do, you know? Sure. But if it comes to the end of the year and I'm not my best and I don't get called in, then I might feel bad because I didn't give it my all, you know? So all I'm trying to do is, that's why I'm really hitting the weights. I'm like doing everything this year to be, at the end of the year, I'm going to be the best version of myself. And whether I get called in or not is kind of out of my control at the end of the day. But if I'm the best version of myself, that's all I can do.
That's it.
And
That's it.
Again.
And then
no, thank you so much. You have
no. You got anything else?
No. What I want to ask him, is we have the thing that we do. Power You. It's 59 seconds to talk about advices. So if you can give us in 59 seconds some advices to become a pro player and also a business, would be great.
All right.
You can use more than 59 seconds.
I think the first thing is just to work hard. Like I said, you can control that in terms of being a soccer player. Like, you can control how hard you work every single day. You can control that at practices, at games. So work hard, period. Number 2 is you have to train a lot. And you have to train more than pretty much anybody around you if you really want to be a pro. Because just look at the numbers. Like, if you're on whatever team you're on your youth team, maybe one person from that team could make it pro, but probably not. Like, so even if you look in your whole league or your whole state, like, maybe one person from your age group is going to make it. So you need to be training harder than everyone you're around. And then I think just like the mental toughness to ride the ups and downs of a career, of whether like it's tough to be a kid too. Like, it's tough dealing with your emotions and going to school and all this stuff. So just dealing with all of that, the ups and downs, and through your youth career and as a pro. And then in terms of business, like, just start small, just take some action, you know, like if you want to be a real estate investor, just go on to Bigger Pockets and go join a real estate group. Or if you want to open a coffee shop, go and talk to a few coffee shop owners in your area. Like, just take some small action every day or every week, like whatever it is. But consistency, I think, is the super key. Like, just take small actions consistently and it adds up over time.
Yeah. And Mint. Yeah?
And Mint.com.
And Mint.
Yeah.
Oh!
Go get Mint.com.
Yeah,
you better sponsor him, please.
Yeah, they need to.
Sponsor us as well. But that's it. Thank you so much, Tesho. Again,
appreciate it.
Amazing having this pro player, and not just a pro player. I like that fact that he's also taking care of the financials as well. So important. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love the podcast. Love the off-season training, Kyle. You got to run great sessions, like I told you.
You need anything? You let me know, bro. I'm here.
Appreciate it.
Bro, preseason coach, Caíto Milagres. Again, you can follow us Instagram, Spotify. What else? Siosito. Everything. We also have a WhatsApp group that we answer some questions that people ask, or we can receive the questions to send to the guests. Really appreciate everybody. How many seconds we still have, Siosito? 5.
Ciao. See you later. You got some more?
No.
It's
just to wait the music.
Thank you. See you.